shining. Man has been there. I wonder what would happen if the moon one day came to visit the Earth.
So there was no music credit there. That was kind of odd. The music was the best part of that. Some people identified the electronics by Jean-Jacques Perry, or Perry, or I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but yeah, that's an amazing film. Really, because of the music, I think the narrative is all right, but the music just carries it way over the top. I introduced the movie The Fly last night for a local science museum, and bought this mask. So I only got to use it for 15 minutes. So I'm trying to maximize the amount of time that I'm going to um, wear this mask, because I don't really have an opportunity to wear it out in public that much. So here we go. I can't really see a whole lot, but we're going to watch a film. And this is from the first big batch of films that I got many, many years ago, almost 30 years ago. It's called The Torch. It's a little jittery at first, and it's mostly not animated, but the images are really amazing. So here we go. Here's The Torch.
Let's operate and sprint you each job. Now let's follow him on a typical assignment. Here's Handy Andy, the boy who can anything, like the plumbing. Well, the Torch isn't especially interested in plumbing, but where a man's tinkering with things around the house, you never can tell. A screen door? Well, not quite, but we're getting warm. Aha! This is more like it. Here's Andy's wife with an extension cord. A very interesting combination. A lot could happen here. Uh-oh. Foiled again, looks like.
Mabel, how often do I have to tell you not to overload an outlet? One more lamp on that plug and you'll blow a fuse, maybe burn down the house.
But Andy, I simply have to move this lamp over here, and there isn't any...
Okay. Why didn't you ask me in the first place? Let's see now. Needs something to hold it up.
Oh, too bad. Looks like the Torch rides again. Watch this.
Andy, you know there's a nail in back of that bookcase. Remember?
Shouldn't hang a wire over a nail. Not too good.
Andy, you're not going to hang it on that nail, are you? Suppose that insulation stuff wears thin.
Who's the expert around here, anyhow? Going to take advice from a woman, Andy?
Don't be silly, Mabel. It's good solid insulation. The nail will work fine.
Uh-oh. Here we go. Too bad. Andy knew better, but that's just the kind the Torch specializes in. The kind who always know better. For instance...
Now, just one last thing, ladies. Always do your dry cleaning in a well-ventilated room, or better still, outdoors. But surely I don't need to tell you that. In conclusion, I'd just like to say that if we all put our shoulders to the wheel and get rid of all that old junk in the attic that's such a fire hazard, I'm sure we can really make this Fire Prevention Week count.
That's Kathy. She's in on them all, and she really puts them over with a bang. But even the busiest people have to take time out now and then. A lady's got to keep her gloves clean. But Kathy, not with gasoline.
Well, you just haven't got time to go shopping for safe cleaning fluids, Kathy. And besides, you aren't doing a whole lot of clothes. Just one little pair of gloves. That's right.
Oh, well, Kathy again was the careful kind, except just this once. And here we have anxious Al, who spends all his time worrying. The last time there was a fire in the neighborhood, Al went out and bought a dozen fire extinguishers. He moved the light fixture out of reach of anyone who might be in the bathtub. He even got up courage to tell off his wife when he found her with an unscreened open fire. And he moved all that old rubbish out of the attic, stuff that had been accumulating for years, a definite fire hazard. Yes, Al thought he was just about the most careful, conscientious man in town when it came to fires. So naturally, he always enjoyed a peaceful, undisturbed night's sleep. A good book, a cigarette. A cigarette? Smoking in bed? Al!
Sure. What's wrong with a cigarette before going to sleep? Been doing it for years, eh, Al? A sensible, cautious fellow like you can afford to... Attaboy. And that takes care of anxious Al.
Well, nice-looking lumber yard, full of grade A, well-seasoned wood. What sort of a fellow is Ben? Ben looks like a solid citizen, and he is. Knows his business, and a business like this keeps him hopping, running around that lumber yard all day long, checking stock, filling orders, keeping an eye open for fire hazards. He's got to be especially watchful with a setup of this sort. Say, what's this? Chimney smoking pretty badly.
Uh-oh. That chimney needs a going over. Better make a note to have it cleaned.
Oh, you got other things to do. That can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, guess so. Tomorrow, too. Plenty of time.
Sure, Ben, plenty of time. But tomorrow was just one day too late. Now, Cal here knows all about the great outdoors. When he builds a fire in the woods, he always makes certain that it's not under a tree or too close to any dry brush or grass. And when he leaves, he makes very sure that it's out, carefully banking it with earth. Cal has lots of respect for the woods. He knows you have to be on your toes all the time. Back in the car, Cal can relax, finish his smoke, toss the cigarette out the window. But wait a minute.
Of course it's all right. The highway won't burn. It's made of cement. But the leaves aren't. They'll really burn. And as for the whole forest, watch this.
Funny thing about Tessie. When the telephone rings, she just can't help dropping everything else to answer it. Something important might be happening. Even though pots might be boiling over, bathtubs running over, and babies bubbling over. Of course, Tessie knows about fire hazards. She wouldn't leave a hot iron on the ironing board. And she won't let the children play with matches. Nothing like that. But just let that telephone ring.
Tessie, the phone's ringing. Those old curtains can wait. That's the girl. Get to that phone. Might be some choice gossip.
Or a choice fire, Tessie. You see now why these victims are not much different from you and me. We all have faults, and the enemy is right there to take advantage of any little weakness. The trick is to know yourself and get the upper hand. Seems like our friend is getting ready for another victim.
Look, you know you're dying for a smoke. Come on! Those signs are all over town. Why, if everybody worried about 'em, there wouldn't be a chance for a smoke.
Look, Bud, if everybody worried about him a little more, you wouldn't stand a chance. You operate on the principle that there's a little weakness in all of us, and you're right. But if it's a little weakness, that means we only need a little more self-control.
The man's right. The torch wouldn't stand a chance. Using a little common sense may not make you a hero, but it will keep you alive.
Whoa, and it just ended. So beautiful color on that. Just barely animated, but the visuals are so stunningly great. And you got your little devil torch guy. I was looking it up to see if I could figure out from whence this film existed, and I can't really find anywhere online that tells me. Unfortunately, this was missing the title and the credits. But if I had to guess, I bet you that this is a Film Communicators. You get to watch me type things in. Communicators 16. Yeah. All right. I'll do some more research to try to figure that out. But just given that I have a lot of Film Communicators films that are on Kodachrome and really amazing like this, and they almost all deal with fire safety. So that's what I'm thinking here. I'm Skip Elsheimer, by the way. I don't think I said that. And we do. This is the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show. I had a mask on, which impeded my sight, my breathing, and obviously my cognitive functioning. Coffee will help, and you can certainly donate some coffee to support AV Geeks. Coffee. All right, this next film is creepy. For the main reason, I think, is because it has a little boy, but it's voiced over by a young woman. That always creeps me out. So here's Kenny Wants to Help.
Let me help.
It's my job, Kenny. Now go along, do something else.
You missed some dirt over there.
Kenny, I'm doing it. Now mind your own business and let me work.
What's up, Half Pint?
Can I take the laundry down?
You take all this? You can.
I can, too. Try me out.
You see what you did? I told you were too small for this job. Why don't you get lost, Half Pint?
Hello, John. Are there any things here that I can do for you?
No, Kenny, go out outside and play with your friends.
No, I've been outside playing with my friends. Everybody else has a job. Why can't I have a job?
Here, go outside and play with your friends.
Hi, Bob. You need some
Morning,
help?
Peanuts. Oh, I didn't think you could handle that. That's too heavy for you. Here, kid. Let me give you a hand with that. Oh, some of these cans weigh more than you do. Spilled all over. Say, thanks a lot, Peanuts. Peanuts? Hey, Peanuts. He's a funny kid. Kenny, what can I do for you, Kenny?
Mr. Hochberg, sir, do you need any help around here on Saturday afternoons?
Yeah, I need someone to help me add up these bills. How about that brother of yours?
I mean a job for me. Can't I do something for you around here?
Well, you could add these up.
Okay. I guess I'm not smart enough.
Oh, I wouldn't say smart enough. Katrina, what are you doing?
Help.
Kenny.
Are you lost, little girl?
But Mommy's lost.
I'll help you find her. Come on.
Oh, Ivy! Where have you been? I've been looking all over for you. Who found you?
That little boy found me.
What little boy?
That little boy round the corner.
Well, I'm certainly glad he did find you.
Hi, Mommy. Can I climb on this fence? Mm-hmm. Here we go. How was your day today? Fine. How was your day? Fun playing? I didn't feel like playing. Felt like helping. But nobody wanted me to.
Oh, go on.
Honest.
Why, gee, thank you so much, sir.
That's okay.
What was all that about?
Well, I saw this little girl at the supermarket, and she was lost. So I helped her find her mother. It isn't too important.
Well, it sounds pretty important to me. It sounds to me like you helped that little girl. Helped her mother, too.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Rafferty and Kenny.
Mr. Huckford.
You know, your boy came by my store today and asked me for a job.
Kenny?
Yeah. That darn cat knocked over all the boxes, and Kenny stacked the whole display up all by himself better than I could. I turned around and thanked him. He was gone. So I want to say thank you, Kenny.
You're welcome.
For helping me. And you know what? Bob the trash man came by the store and he said the same thing. He said, Kenny is some helper. That's what he said. I just want you to know that. Yeah. Bye-bye.
See you.
You too. Bye.
Mom, am I?
Am you what?
Like Bob, the trash man, said, some helper.
You're helping me right now, aren't you?
Ah, that doesn't count.
Well, let's see. You helped Bob the trash man, Mr. Hochberg, that little lost girl, not to mention her mother who was so worried. And you're helping me right now, even though that doesn't count. You've been helping people all day. You just didn't know.
I just didn't
realize.
I just didn't realize. Mom?
Yes?
Can I have a potato chip?
I guess so.
That was a little nightmarish. Realize I'm kind of bright here. Yeah, that was really, really... The fact that there is live sound, or synced sound, and that they had to dub in the kid's voice, Kenny's voice, tells me that the kid probably was like, it probably didn't really enunciate, or, you know, got the lines wrong. Probably didn't enunciate. Some kids just, and you're like, I don't understand what the kid's saying. And it was probably some key scenes where that was the case, and they were like, well, we'll have to dub this, and if we're going to dub this, we have to dub everything else. And they didn't have the kid overdub it because probably the kid just doesn't enunciate. That's my guess, but it makes for a very creepy story. I mean, I would say just dub everybody's voices. If you're going to do this, just do it all. Excuse me. And that's by the same company that did Who Cares, which is a great film. Also part of the Skyline series. And I guess that was made in conjunction with a reading book, because it refers to that in the credits. All right, so this next film I had to rewind because it was Tails Out. Tails Out means that the end of the film is out, and so when you play it, it's upside down and backwards. And this film is already trippy enough without that. This is a eBay find, and I love it because it's one of these niche things. And I believe the idea was that this was an ad for a new video effects unit that this video post-production company had. And it's probably was available in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's super trippy and wonderful and features Artie Johnson. So here is Videtronics. Wait, what is it called? Yeah. Videtronics demo. Enjoy.
Trip, take an hour, take a friend, take a long vacation, take it back, take a job, take a bow, take a breather, take some lessons, take the cake, take a drop of fat. Take my advice, take my hand, take my address, take my wife, take an Alka-Seltzer every year. Take a look, take the time, take a Newsweek, take my heart, take the cars and wheels. Take a shower, take a bath, take to the small. Take a third, take a fifth, take a fourth, take it off. Take a number, take a letter, take E and C, take five. Take an hour, take a friend, take a long vacation, take it back, take a job, take a bow, take a breather.
Hey, that's cute and nice.
Hey, long time no see. Put on a little weight, ain't you fat, though?
Take my wife, take an Alka-Seltzer every year. Take a look, take the time, take a Newsweek, take my heart, take the cars and wheels. Take a shower, take a bath, take to the small. Take a third, take a fifth, take a fourth, take it off. Take a number, take a letter, take E and C, take five. Take a walk, take a trip, take an hour, take a friend, take a long vacation, take it back, take a job, take a bow, take a breather, take some lessons, take the cake, take a drop of fat. Take my advice, take my hand, take my address, take my wife, take an Alka-Seltzer every meal. Take a look, take the time, take a Newsweek, take my heart, take the cars and wheels. Take a shower, take a bath, take to the small. Take a third, take a fifth, take a fourth, take it off. Take a number, take a letter, take E and C, take five.
Try that again. That's a great commercial for video post. I remember as a kid, I was enamored with a similar company called Charlex that did opening for Saturday Night Live when Rich Hall was on there. It's during that season that people don't like, but it was actually one of my favorites. And also did the Cars You Might Think video, and did lots and lots of things with, that was who I wanted to work for, and what I wanted to do. So, yeah, that film feels good. Brings back those little ideas in my head, like what I used to want to do. This next film talks about our personalities and emotions. It's brought to us by Encyclopedia Britannica.
This is an age of speed, a nervous age that keeps our emotions stirred. All of us, young or old, schooled or illiterate, are endowed by nature with the ability to live a life filled with many kinds of emotions. But whether we will show them in an uncontrolled outburst, whether we will act in some antisocial way, whether we swallow our upsets or deny them even to ourselves, we cannot do away with them. They are part of our personality. We inherited many confusing and conflicting ideas about emotions, some of which still linger on. But today, people in distress need not conceal their emotional problems anymore. They can find help and counsel from a new group of specialists: psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, and the modern religious counselors. In this film, we're not concerned with clinically disordered emotions, but with everyday experiences involving emotions. For these, we must start at the beginning, with the newborn child. Welcome, young man. Welcome to life. For you, as for all children, life begins as an emotional experience. Obviously, this new and strange world comes as a shock to you. Though just 1 minute old, you are a personality with a name, an identity by which we recognize you as an individual. Look at him. This new individual is well equipped for all the physiological functions of living and for emotional responses to events around him. From his first breath, he is capable of being happy or unhappy, and can make others around him happy or unhappy. How he learns to use his inborn capacities will largely depend on what this new world offers him, how he, as a child, will experience his relations with others. For emotions are not learned deliberately like skills or facts. The baby will develop them through living with others, by responding to those who handle him, speak to him, comfort him, or provoke him, by reacting emotionally to those he sees and touches, to those whose songs he hears. And so as the child grows, he will learn many new things, some from books and teachers, but probably much more from trying, testing, accepting, and rejecting. In other words, from living with others. From the beginning, the child literally feels his way through life, loving, hating, worrying, trying to find a place for himself in this new world of grown-ups. From day to day, the basic emotional responses tie in with one new experience after another, with cue after cue, with the child's own responses to new situations and new cues. As an example, an infant experiences a strong emotional shock when the pediatrician gives him his first injection. several signals may connect with this unpleasant experience, such as the specific odor of the office, the color of the doctor's jacket, the sight of his instruments. Later, when the mother brings the child to a doctor's office, the mere smell of it may provoke the same responses that were part of the earlier experience of pain, and these in turn may release emotional responses of crying and rebelling in defense against the anticipated pain. As the child matures, she can tell herself that the visit to the doctor's office is important for her health. Therefore, she can soothe her responses by reasoning, which means that she has learned to control an emotional reaction through signals given to herself by reasoning. In his daily routine, the child continuously learns about life. Memories of many of his early experiences may fade and seem forgotten, but they are rarely completely erased. Although he may not be conscious of them, they are often operating in his later life as the forgotten childhood. Where a young infant's drive has been kept low, where parents paid attention to his early requests, the child easily progresses to the next developmental step, exploration, striving to achieve some gratifications by himself. This struggling to achieve gratifications by himself is part of the preparation for later life. But even at the height of achievements, it will be the childhood patterns of his emotional experiences that will largely govern his relations with others. That's why it is so important that he learns to manage emotions honestly as he develops physically. Where did a helpless infant get this capacity for emotions? Just as he could breathe, eat, and digest food from the time he opened his eyes, he could also respond with emotions. Let's try to visualize what goes on inside the human body when pain or danger threatens. The adrenal glands release hormones into the blood. The heart pumps the blood, carrying these chemical messengers to all parts of the body. In the liver, they release an emergency ration of stored sugar into the bloodstream. The heartbeat accelerates. The blood pressure goes up. Breathing becomes faster. From this point of view, we may describe emotions as primitive biological reactions to painful or threatening stimulations from outside, intense responses involving the whole body. From the very beginning, the human baby is equipped with this emotional defense setup. As his experiences grow, his emotional responses become more varied. Here is a boy just beginning to explore the world, with curiosity, with eagerness. But the road of exploration is not smooth. He is unable to handle his blocks, and so he's frustrated and disturbed. Sister's too young to help. Here comes Mother. The toy hammer is a good release for his emotional and physical reactions, and soon the blocks are forgotten. Someday he'll be able to meet such frustrating incidents without crying. From day to day, his play experiences are increasing, not without occasional upsets. These are his sister's crayons. And here's Lynn to claim her right.
Don't man. You bad, bad boy.
This is a familiar scene and a very significant one. Observe how Lynn uses words to express her emotions. That's quite a step forward from crying or hitting.
Bad, bad boy.
Sometimes grown-ups find a child's sincere expression of emotions shocking, and so may tend to undermine the child's emotional sincerity.
Lynn, dear, play with your brother. Come on, darling. Play with your brother.
I don't like him.
Well, Lynn, you don't really mean that. You love your brother, of course.
I don't like him.
Oh, be nice to brother. He's our baby.
Sit on my leg.
Lynn is jealous of the baby and shows it. No use telling her that she must love Toby. Right now, she wants to get rid of the baby as competition for Mother's love. Mother's insistence that she must love Toby not only confuses her, but increases her jealousy. Another example. This one about learning and unlearning signals that cause emotional upsets. Patsy is scared of dogs, and so's her mother. Patsy's fear is strengthened by the examples of her mother's uneasiness. Whenever she comes out, there's a threatening animal on the street. Gradually, she withdraws from playing outside. One day, her father comes home from the office with a present. She's eager to see it. But out of the box comes a stuffed dog. No, she doesn't like dogs, not even stuffed dogs. It may take a long time for Patsy to become friendly to dogs. That is, to unlearn her fear of dogs. But not all so-called childish upsets are confined to little children. For instance, a youngster may fall back to bedwetting in protest against a new baby. Another may revert to thumb-sucking or nail-biting when facing an unpleasant or threatening situation, a new teacher, or stern parental demand. Adolescence is an especially sensitive age. Sometimes the fear of new responsibilities makes adolescents act in what we call a childish manner. These excursions to less mature behavior are often indications that some disappointment or pressure is weighing upon the youngsters. Recognizing this, parents, friends, and teachers can help them to overcome their troubles and return to a more mature level. We are getting increasingly aware that the emotional causes sometimes lead to physical discomforts, like in the case of this girl. Taking medicine alone may not cure her. Often a competent physician will decide to call upon a psychiatrist or psychologist to help him probe deeper into the emotional causes of certain ailments. Strong emotions tend to express themselves even when we try to hide or suppress them. When continuously suppressed, they may go underground and may interfere with bodily functions such as digestion or elimination, or they may disturb the heart and circulation, or give rise to recurrent headaches. Symptoms of such ailments are often called psychosomatic. Psychosomatic are such physical disturbances that have emotional causes. Up to now, we've been discussing mostly emotional upsets, but our satisfactions are emotions too. The natural love of parents for children is one of them. The affection of parents for each other. The stirrings of attraction between the young adults. All these and many more are high points of emotional satisfaction. The study of emotions is a complex subject. This film set out only to create an awareness of this problem by showing that we all are born capable of emotions, that we develop emotionally through living with others, that there is no golden rule or magic formula for emotional maturation, that emotions cannot be denied, only suppressed. If we recognize and accept our emotions, if we learn to channel them to useful purposes, they will become the raw materials for the building of healthy personalities, capable of feeling and therefore of living rich and full lives as useful members of society.
Hey, I'm back. So I threaded up two films, and both of them were Western Woods iconographic films, meaning that they were just zooming in and out on illustrations from children's books. So we'd already seen The Torch, which was doing that a little bit, so it just didn't seem worth it. So I thankfully had a spare film set up here. It just took me a little bit longer. This one does not have a title. I should say that a fellow former bandmate of mine recognized one of the icons, or one of the graphics in the last film. It was the little man with the lightning bolts coming out of his head. That was something we used for a logo for one of our records that we put out. We called it Little Man. It's I love that logo. That's tattoo fodder right there. Not that I give myself tattoos or do tattooing, but if somebody wants it as a tattoo, let me know and I'll figure out a way to get you an image of it. Yes, this next film doesn't have a title. It's called Using the Bank, so I don't know what it is. I have no idea. If we hear the narrator, it might be Encyclopedia Britannica, and I can pinpoint it as such, but we're just going to watch it and see what happens. So here it is. Using the Bank.
He takes the cash, the check, the deposit slip, and his bank book to the teller at the savings window. The teller places the bank book in an adding recording machine. Into the bank book, she punches the amount of his deposit and the new balance, which is the total amount that Mr. Adams now has in his savings account. There's the amount of the deposit, $62.53. The pages of the bank book show the record of Mr. Adams' savings account. 8 years ago, one March, he made his first deposit of $50. As he made regular deposits from his earnings, his balance grew. But his balance actually became greater than the sum of all his deposits, for at the end of each 6 months interest period, the bank added interest to his balance, which therefore kept on growing. The teller puts Mr. Adams' deposit slip with other deposit slips in this basket. These slips are a record of the money that has come into the bank. And up here, they're checked in the proving machine. The bank's careful methods give Mr. Adams confidence that his savings are secure. And so does the federal government's insurance guarantee. Some of the money of the depositors is kept behind the great door of this vault. Part of the money that comes into a bank is kept in cash, but the rest of it must be put to work to earn a profit for the bank. And so, the bank invests much of its money. According to law, these investments must be safe investments, such as government bonds, municipal bonds, and mortgages. The bank also invests its customers' money in personal and business loans to reliable people. Here is Mr. Adams with the president of the Elmville National Bank. They're discussing a loan.
You saved over $4,000. That's right, Mr. Smith. I saved 80% of the capital I'll need to start my hardware business.
I see. And now you would like to borrow an additional $1,000 from us.
That's right.
In your letter here, you explain why you feel this town needs another hardware store. Tell me, Mr. Adams, how much experience have you had in the hardware business?
I worked as a salesman for 3 years with the Lewis Wholesale Hardware in Johnstown. And I have managed the appliance department in the King Hardware Store here in Elmville for the past 8 years.
That should certainly be enough. And you've been promised a location on Washington Street.
Yes, I have, Mr. Smith.
Good place for a hardware store. Well, I think we can make you this loan.
Oh, that's fine. Will the bank need security?
No, I don't think so. As you say, you're putting up 80% of the capital from your own savings. Besides, you've lived in this town and bank with us for quite a while. You have a good reputation. We know you're reliable.
I'm glad you think so.
Here's the note, and this is where you sign. You'd better read it over carefully first.
Let's see. For value received, I promise to pay to the Elmville National Bank $1,000 in monthly installments of $50, beginning 1 month from the date of this note. This seems okay.
Fine. And since you're paying the loan back on a monthly basis, we will calculate the interest on a monthly basis, too. The tables in this book will give us the exact figure. Now, let's see. 20 months at our usual rate. It comes to just $20.43. Now, we will subtract the interest from the principal and give you a check for the balance.
That sounds all right. How much will it come to?
It comes to exactly $979.57.
That's fair enough.
Miss Jenkins, will you please make out a check to Mr. Frank Adams for $979.57.
Right away, Mr. Smith.
Thanks. Now, how about opening a checking account for your new business?
Yes. I'd like to do that right away so I can start paying for my furnishings and my merchandise by check. I'll start my checking account.
Mr. Adams finds his new checking account very useful. To pay for the $150 worth of merchandise which he has ordered, he is going to draw a check on his bank. Here is the stub of his check. To the balance brought forward, he has added his most recent deposit. From the total, he subtracts the amount of his present check, $150. He keeps a complete checking account stubs. The check itself is drawn on the Elmville National Bank. That means it is an instruction to the bank to pay to the order of the Miller Supply Company the sum of $150. Mr. Adams writes the amount in words so there can be no mistake. The Elmville Bank on which this check is drawn will pay out the $150 as soon as the Miller Supply Company endorses or signs the check and presents it for payment. All that remains for Mr. Adams is to mail the check with his order to the Miller Supply Company, which can collect the money as soon as it endorses the check. And here is the check arriving at the Miller Supply Company. The girl stamps or endorses it. But instead of collecting the money direct from the Elmville National Bank, the company does it through its own bank, where the check is arriving right now. This bank can collect the $150 once it places its own endorsement on the check, as it is doing here. But instead of collecting the money directly, it uses a more convenient method. Like many other banks, it sends its checks to the Federal Reserve Bank for collection. The Federal Reserve Bank is set up to handle thousands of checks from hundreds of banks in a single day. All these banks save themselves a great deal of trouble by collecting on checks through the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank collects the money direct from the banks on which the checks are drawn and returns the checks to these banks. And so, Mr. Adams' check reaches the Elmville National Bank, where it is canceled to show that $150 has been paid out of Mr. Adams' account. As proof, the canceled check will be sent to him along with his monthly statement. And here Mr. Adams is serving a customer in his hardware store. He is building up a prosperous business with the help of his bank loan and the money he has saved over the years in his savings account. And there is the lady's change. But speaking of change, the store is beginning to run short of it. Yes, there is just time to change his coat and get to the bank before closing time. Mr. Adams finds his local bank very convenient. Not only because it can always give him all the small change he needs, but also because of its other services, such as his savings account, the loan which it gave him, and the checking account which makes it possible for him to pay for his orders by check. At the teller's window, he is getting his small change, conveniently wrapped in paper and labeled nickels, dimes, quarters, and $half. Mr. Adams is a good customer of the bank. In return, the bank provides many services for him and for everyone who uses the bank.
Whoa, and it just ends. Yep. Encyclopedia Britannica. Let's see what this looks like. It's an early, EB. And that narrator, some of you guys recognize him. I can't remember his name. He does visually show up in a couple of the films. Because he did so many of these films in the 30s and 40s. And they begin to phase them out in the 50s, I believe. And used other narrators. But I think that film is interesting. It's certainly dry, but it's interesting when you think about like what had to happen for to transact money when it wasn't just cash. Like somebody wrote on this piece of paper, and you saw there was no like defining printed things. It was just Elmsville Bank, and he wrote on it, and he wrote his name, and then somebody looked at it and stamped it, and then they wrote it in a ledger, and it's you think about that in comparison to Cash App or Venmo or any of these now ways to transact cash from one person to another without writing a check. Like checks are now kind of getting old, and they're still being used, obviously, but there's all these other ways to transact. It's very different. There was I transferred a bunch of commercials for Duke University's advertising collection, and one of them was it was a New York Chemical Bank, and they had this check writing card, which basically gave you, it's something you could take to another branch of your bank where they didn't know you. So the idea that you had your bank and it was your specific location that you went to, and then you had an identifier that you could use at another bank, so they could say like, oh, well, this person has money at our bank, is a customer of ours. Because at the time, driver's license didn't necessarily have photos. Like they weren't photo IDs. Like I remember this in the 80s. I remember the Virginia driver's license didn't have a photo ID. And so how do you have these transactions, and how do you make a deposit at one bank when it's not your branch? It's really kind of fascinating to see how that's changed. And you would have local banks that they're only a bank in a given town or city or county. And so it's kind of dry, as some people have commented, but it is really fascinating to see how rapidly people transact money now compared to the old days. All right, that's enough of me blabbing on about banks today. But thanks so much for tuning in today. If you like what you saw, you can hit subscribe and like and blah and whatever and notify, blah, blah, blah. You can also buy us coffee. Caffeine is one of the things, the main chemicals that keep us going here at AV Geeks, and we appreciate that whenever you can help support us. You can also go to avgeeks.com. You can also share what we do. That's a great way to kind of support us, is tell other people about what we do. And thank you again for your eyeballs and for your support and your comments. It always means a great deal. As always, please rewind and love each other. And we will see you again tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Thanks again, everybody. Take care.